Our gospel reading for this morning comes from the Gospel of Mark, that gospel's account of the first Easter morn. Listen now for what the Spirit may be saying to you. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James and Salome brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. They had been saying to one another, "Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb?" When they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled back. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe, sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. But he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has been raised. He is not here. Look, there is the place where they laid him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him, just as he told you." So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Longtime worshipers here have learned over the years that I usually preach from the lectionary. The lectionary being an ecumenical project designed to create a kind of orderly reading through the Bible on worship services from Sunday to Sunday. The lectionary has an Old Testament reading, a psalm, a reading from the epistles or letters of the New Testament, as well as a gospel reading for each day of the year, each Sunday of the year. That's the Christian year, running from the start of Advent to the week before the next Advent begins. And it has a 3-year cycle. It follows the Gospel of Matthew 1 year, Mark, and then Luke. And the Gospel of John gets worked in here and there in all the years. Occasionally, there is an either-or choice on the readings for a Sunday. This is the case this Sunday. The primary reading for every Easter is the Easter account from John's Gospel. And as an alternative to it, there is the Gospel that is featured that year, its account. And this is Mark's year. And so we heard from the Gospel of Mark this morning. Now, I've never seen any statistics on this or any sort of surveys, but I've got to think that the Gospel of Mark's account is the least popular of all the Easter stories. Scholars argue whether or not Mark's Gospel, as we have it, ended the way you just heard what I read in. Some suggest that the ending is lost, while others insist, no, that's the way Mark originally meant it. But clearly that ending is unsatisfactory enough that your Bible contains at least 2 different attempts to try and come up with a better one. Most Bibles, when they place the part that comes after our reading for this morning, imaginatively give a heading to them that says the shorter ending of Mark and the longer ending of Mark. But we didn't hear that today. We heard the ending of what we have from the original gospel writer. And what a strange ending it is. So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. Not exactly what most folks are looking for on this day. Stories of disciples racing to see the empty tomb, stories of Mary encountering the risen Jesus in the garden and in the darkness of realizing who he is. That's more like it. That's more in keeping with the joy and excitement of the morning, with songs like Jesus Christ is risen today. But Mark shows us an empty tomb with a man in a white robe. And the man tells the women to go and tell his followers that they will soon see him. And then the whole thing is simply left in doubt. So they went out and fled from the tomb, for terror and amazement had seized them. And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid.